Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
Welcome to an unknown episode 232. Pete, I guess I should have prepped that a little bit more. And I guess for the second week in a row, I will check my audio and we're good. So episode 232, you can see what a professionally ran operation I have going on this.
You've got a podcast run by a detailer. That's all I'm saying.
I do. And, my team sitting here, anyway, team including the dog, but brought Pete back on because, again, the feedback about the detailermarketingbootcamp.com, that's right, 37 seconds in, Pete. I'm already doing a shameless plug.
Dig it.
But the feedback for guys wanting to attending, wanting to see some sort of replay or something like that has been really phenomenal. But for those guys that are still on the fence or that are not going to be able to make it out to the event for whatever reason, I still want them to have a ton of takeaways and something. I want these podcast episodes to not just be shameless plugs. I want them to be about 95% shameless plugs and about 5% of practical information that they could take and implement into their detailing business or their life, really, for that matter.
I think you need to reverse those ratios. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Whether or not they come to the event or not. I want there to be some practical information for them. So today, one of the biggest, you've been running around in some of these detailing Facebook groups, so you've seen it. So a conversation that gets talked, first of all, welcome to the show. Again. Going back to my professionalism, welcome to the show. Okay, now that I got that out of the way.
Appreciate it, by the way.
What's that?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. By the way. But that's okay. I have a feeling that you're going to get a lot of talking in today, so I'm trying to get all my talking in before you start blabbing. But working with the right type of clients is huge, not only in the detailing space, but all industries. But for this podcast specifically, let's keep it to detailing. But this is pretty important, wouldn't you say?
I would say it's extremely important if you want to have the kind of business that is your dream business. Because I think all too often we settle. Sometimes we just start taking on clients because we're broke and we need the business. And that's because, frankly, you don't have systems in place to constantly bring you in the right kind of clients. But
that's how I started.
Yeah, and when you're in that stage of the business, like think back to when you started. You're like, okay, you want me to wash your car? Oh, you're going to give me crap because I'm going to charge you $30? All right, I'll do it for 20.
Right.
I mean, you start doing things like that, and it creates a culture within your own mindset and business of basically I'll do whatever I've got to do just to get a few pennies here and there.
100%.
And I think it's devastating, not just in detailing, but in all businesses where you don't just like you set it like this is the type of client I'm looking for. This is who I'm going to work with. This is who I'm not going to work with. And a mature business turns away clients. Basically, I mean, you've got to be free to say no. I mean, we kind of talk about this in the video at detailermarketingbootcamp.com.
Nice, Pete. We went 3 minutes without mentioning it.
There we go. Yeah, so if you guys want to see the video, go check it out. But on that video,
people are loving, by the way. Side note, but people love that video.
It's good. I'm glad they love it. I mean, it's a fun little ditty.
It is.
But one of the things I mentioned on the video is the lie that's been told to detailers is everyone with a car or a motorcycle or a boat is your potential client. And that's not true. It's not even close to being true.
Right.
You can tell who's your clients. Like, I'm going to give you a great example. I got a buddy from college, and we get together every once in a while, and he literally just finished his divorce. Like, the reason we were getting together is he had to, serve a notice that he had a different mailing address, and he couldn't mail it to the court or to I don't even know who it was to. So he needed me to physically drop it in the mailbox and sign saying I did so, right? So that's why we were getting together, and we were talking about cars because he's driving around in like a Honda Civic or something like that, and he leases his car, and I don't lease cars, not because I have anything against it. I actually don't understand the whole leasing, owning thing, and you and I even talked about that one time. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I don't know. All I know is I like not having a car payment. I'm really happy with that, so I'm in no rush to go out and get a lease or buy a new car.
You just like cutting big checks. That's what you like doing. I
like big checks being cut to me. Like literally before I got on this podcast, I got an email from someone who I did a project on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here's the check we're cutting for you." I'm like, "Woohoo! It's a biggie. Good little 5-figure check there."
Did you take your right arm, wrap it around, and give yourself a nice little pat on the back?
Well, I actually give myself a high five, but that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, there you go.
But so anyway, we were talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I leased this car, and I can't remember what his payment was, but it was under $200, like his car payment." And he goes, "I've had this car. My car comes up in like 3 months." And he goes, "I've never once washed my car."
Are you serious?
And he's like, "Because I lease it. I don't give a rip about it." He goes like, wait, I take that back. My parents last year when they were out, they washed my car. But other than that, this car has never been washed. And
don't give him my number, Pete.
Yeah, exactly, right? my point is, like, that's even a newer car.
Right.
And yet he's like, "I don't care. I like not your ideal client." And you have to have standards. You have to have standards in your business of what you're going to accept as a client, who you're going to accept as a client, what you're going to charge, and what you're not willing to do work for. So, like an example in my business, I got a client that I'm doing a project with right now, and part of the project, it's a web-based training system, and so my team's doing all the tech work, and we want to offer private label versions of it where these companies can private label it and put their logos on it and stuff like that. And so my partner on this, we're a 50-50 split on the setup fees. And so she's like, "All right, well, we're going to charge them $5,000 to do a private label, which means I'd get $2,500. And I'm like, "No. First of all, I am not willing to do that work for $2,500. And by me, I mean my team, right? Because my team's going to do it. I'm not going to actually do it. Mm-hmm. So they have to be willing to spend at least $10,000 because I won't do it for less than $5,000. And if they're like, "Well, that's too much. Can we negotiate?" The answer is no. I mean, you don't have to have it private labeled then. Like, you have to just have this firm stance in your business of, this is what I charge. You want to have your car detailed by me, it's X.
I got a great story for after you finish this stuff.
No, go for it. Let's hear it.
Well, because me personally was that guy when I first got started that anyone's my customer. In fact, I was in a networking group, and I used to stand up and say, "If you know someone who drives the car, they are my client." And so I had that mindset of like, anyone's my client. And I will tell you, that is the single hardest thing to get away from. The mindset, the everything, because people start telling you you're cheap, or people start telling their friends how much you charge them, and you get into this vicious circle of like being the cheap guy, not making any money. So anyway, I'm slowly getting out of that cycle, and so I'm pretty much there, because a lot of it comes with the confidence to say no to people as well. So I get this phone call, I'll say 3 weeks ago, from this person. They live in the same town as I do. In fact, I found out later they live like literally a block away from me. So it's not like I got to travel far, but the phone call is they have an SUV and a sedan, and they want a quote for car washes every 10 days. And I'm like, wow, that's specific, So I told them it would be 40 for the SUV, 30 for the sedan. Okay. Granted, I had no idea what types of cars they were, because they wouldn't tell me what types of cars they were. I don't know why, probably because they thought if they told me, I would charge more. Turns out it was an Audi Q5 and a Tesla. Big deal, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I tell her 40 and 30, and her first remark is, "Oh my gosh, we want them done every 10 days. That's a little expensive." And I said, she goes, "Oh, since we're doing it so often, can you come down on price? Now, the old me would have been like, shoot, every 10 days, that's 3 times a month, like, blah, blah, that's decent reoccurring money, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll lower my price. But with the mindset I have now, I was like, no. Like, for one, it's just a car wash, right?
Right.
And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, my old guy was I was paying him 20 and 15. And I'm double, right? And I'm like, okay, well, you should call your old guy. And that's literally what I said. And then some people will be like, well, you're kind of an ass when you say that. I'm like, well, your tone matters a lot, right? And I said, in fact, why don't you use your old guy? What happened to him? If he was so good, his price was what you wanted to pay, what happened to him? Well, he stopped showing up.
Because you were so cheap, lady.
Because you were so cheap. And so I explained to her, look, the reason why I'm expensive is because I will be there. I will show up every 10 days. I said, your guy bailed on you because he wasn't making any money. Anyway, long story short, I ended up telling her, look, we're just not a fit. After 15 minutes on the phone, it's like, hey, look, I don't want to waste any more of my time, your time. I just told her, look, we're not a fit. I'm sorry. Going on my way. Fast forward 3 weeks later, she calls me again and asks for a quote again. In fact, she had her husband call and ask me for a quote, right? From a different number, trying to trick me. Figures are the same, numbers are the same, discounts the same. I find out it's her husband. I say, look, I just told your wife this 3 weeks ago. I'm not lowering my price. Either you want my service or you don't. And I landed it.
Nice.
I will probably never do it again because... other issues other than my price. But still, I held out, and I talked to a neighbor. Turns out they had a guy come in, and then, he just stopped showing up. So, anyhow.
Yeah, see, that's what you have to do. Like, you have to be willing to walk away from bad business, and especially as a detailer, because the limited resource you have is your time. Right. So anytime someone takes up a spot, that means you can't sell it to someone else.
Exactly.
And like, I'll give you a good example. Like, this is from the detailermarketingbootcamp.com. We like, I'm not trying to like hide anything from anyone. Like, we said on the very first episode that you interviewed me, you were like, Pete, do you want to give away any information for people to follow you? And I'm like, look, if you can't afford the $49 Detailer Marketing Bootcamp, no, there's nothing else I got.
The free event, Pete?
Yeah, the free event, but if you can't afford the materials fee, thank you, then there's nothing else in my world that you're going to be able to afford. And so, no, I don't want you, basically, I don't want you plugging up my sales funnel.
Right.
When I already know you can't afford anything I got. Like,
right.
I don't want just anybody in the sales funnel. So we had this one guy, and I didn't tell you about this. We actually had this happen with two different people, two different stories, two different things that they were like upset about. This one guy.
Is this for the marketing bootcamp?
Yeah, this is for the marketing bootcamp. I got to tell you this, man, because it's like classic.
I haven't heard it.
Oh,
this
no.
Auto Detailing Podcast exclusive. I wish I had a button to hit.
Yeah, that'd be great. Nice little sound effect.
I'll get my team on it.
Exactly. Your team, your dog Jack's going to figure it out. So what happens is when someone starts the process of getting a ticket, they go to the website, they hit a button that says, claim my ticket here. They put in their name, their email, their phone number, and then it takes them to the order page where it basically reserves their ticket while they're filling out their credit card info. If they don't actually fill out their credit card info, then we've got a system in place that automatically follows up with them, because there could be a lot of things that happen as to why they didn't finish it.
And follow-up's important.
And follow-up's incredibly important, because we already know this is someone who wants to go,
right,
but life just got in the way. Maybe the wife just walked in and said, hey, it's time for dinner. The kids came running in, whatever. I don't know what it is. So they get a call from our office. Sometimes it's me. They will get follow-up emails for the next, I think, like 3 days. We'll send them a follow-up email. And so this guy replied to one of the follow-up emails, right? And the follow-up email was like, hey, did I do something wrong? Was there something wrong on the tech side? Because that's another issue, right? It could be a tech issue. Their credit card didn't go through. And usually when the credit card doesn't go through, it's because the billing address is different than the address that they put in. So the system's going to reject it, kind of a thing. So the guy like replies back and he's like, yeah, I really wanted to go. And then I saw you offered the VIP tickets and you're just trying to squeeze more money out of me. And like I'm reading this email and inside I'm kind of laughing.
Can you send it to me?
Oh yeah. I'll send,
Okay.
I got 2 of them, man. I'll send them both to you. They're classic.
Cause I don't get the emails. So you just, anyway.
So the guy was like, cause we offer a VIP ticket. So, it's a free event, and when you cover our materials cost, which covers not just the materials you get, it's all of our expenses for the event. So if someone's like, oh, what else is covered in this? Look, dude, you're paying for our expenses. I'm not running a charity here.
Right. Because it actually does cost money to throw events.
Yeah, despite what you think, it's not always free. So I'm like, okay, first of all I replied back to the guy is like, look, I think you made the right decision. You were absolutely not a good fit for this event. Which,
by the way, you don't have to upgrade to the VIP.
Oh, no.
It's just an option.
No, and we've actually had a ton more people upgrade to the VIP than I would have thought.
Right.
Like,
it's just an option.
Yeah, it's just an option for the VIP, special lunch with me and Jimbo, special training before the event, front row seating, things like that, So,
free signatures.
Hey, we'll take a selfie with you for your website. It'll be great. So, I just emailed back. I'm like, look, I totally agree. You're absolutely not a good fit. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, number one, the guy is either a total hypocrite, because you can't tell me as a detailer you don't have a VIP option.
Right.
You might call it something different, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Wait a second, Jimbo. You mean I'm going to pay you $40 and you're not going to vacuum my car and you're not going to put wax on it? I mean, like that's like the equivalent of what this guy was saying to me. Like, wait, I paid for a car wash and you're not going to do all this other stuff? You're just trying to squeeze more money? I mean, so it's like, first of all, he's either a total hypocrite or secondly, he just doesn't get it.
Right.
And that could be the case. He could be just really new in business and doesn't get, you have to give people options in your detailing business. And I'm obviously going to give people options in my business or even at this event. We got the free, just cover our expenses ticket, our materials fee ticket. And then we got the VIP option ticket. Like, you have to give people options. And it's not
like we're not offering any additional value.
Right.
Just like when I and I've even shared this on the show, if someone calls me out just to do a car wash, I'm always, my VI, even though I don't call it this, I don't even have it's nothing other than a strategy that I have in my head, is that I'm always trying to upgrade to a wash and a wax.
Right.
So that's my VIP upgrade to my clients, is because I know I can make an additional $40 to $60 for not that much extra work.
And you've got to have that stuff.
You have to.
What you'll end up finding is that your best clients end up being the VIP guys. The ones who are like, look, I want the VIP experience. I want you to do the wax. I want you to do the car coating. I want you to do whatever, right? Those become your best clients. The clients that are the worst in every industry across the board are the entry-level clients, the clients who just want the wash, right?
I won't be going back to those people, by the way. Yeah,
it's not a good experience. Like, there's a car wash right by my house, and it's a really popular one. And they do an all right job.
I hear horrible stuff all the time. I really do. I swear.
Do you really?
I swear I do.
Well, you probably hear it about every car wash.
I do. Because no one's as good as me.
Well, but it's
true. They're pumping them out.
Yeah, every car wash is going to have an issue, and Anyway, I better not even go where I was going to go with that, because that would be like really, really rude. But anytime I have used them, right, the guy who like checks you in, he's always got his little sheet there. Do you want this wash? Do you want the tires done? Do you want, we've got our special today. Ironically, it's the same special every time I go there, right? It's like, oh, we'll do a hand wax for this. And, but they've got their version of the VIP experience. Exactly. And you as a detailer got to have your version of that. Like you said, it's always, if I'm coming out for a wash, I'm going to try and get a wash and a wax.
At least, bare minimum. Right?
And that's what you got to have. And you have to be willing to walk away from business. We had another guy who he emailed, and he's like, wait a second. For $49, I'm getting 2 CDs and some photocopies. Dude, I was like laughing so hard when I saw that. And I'm like, part of me just wanted to go, yes. but I'm like, okay, you know what? And this was before last week's episode came out, and we'd already recorded it though. And I'm like, you just need, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for you, man. Cause if like $49 is breaking the bank for you, I think you just need to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, cause I think that's going to be your best source of information. And you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to just say, you know what? This is not going to be a good fit for what we got, and just walk away from it. And you have to have those standards, man, in all your business. You got to have those standards.
And if that's you that wrote in these 2 emails, look, we're not bagging on you. We're just asking that you would read the website a little better.
Not even that. But it just, do you think they still listen to the podcast after?
I don't know. I'm waiting for iTunes to come out with some better statistical information.
Yeah, they're like, I want to yell. They'll probably start bashing us in the forums.
Probably.
That might be kind of cool. Hey, if you're going to bash us in the forums, have the courtesy to provide a link to detailermarketingbootcamp.com. That's all I'm saying. You owe us at least that much if you're going to bash us.
This could be a whole nother podcast episode, and I actually talked to my good friend Darren about this marketing, and it'd be interesting to hear your take on it, Pete. And so I don't want to get too sidetracked by it, but and regardless of how you feel about politics, and Pete, I know where you stand, but you don't need to tell us. Regardless of how you feel about politics, if you look at Donald Trump's campaign from a pure marketing standpoint, it's genius, right? So he's probably taking a ton of flack. Like if you were to do it on a small scale with like a detailing business, you would probably get just the headaches are probably astronomical, right? But he's got enough money and a big enough team to kind of deal with the wildfire. But man, that guy has got a ton of free press, right? So to your point, if you're going to bag us in the forum or on a Facebook group, give us a shout out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was actually doing a recording earlier today for a group of real estate agents that I train. And we were talking about websites. So I was telling them what they need to have on their websites and what they can, just choose to ignore and quit spending money on and quit wasting your money on this stuff.
That'd be good for detailers.
It would be good for detailers. Gosh, I wonder if there was an event that someone would put on where one of the things they talk about is their web strategy.
I heard about this thing. The guy was kind of bashing it in a Facebook group, but he did drop a link, detailermarketingbootcamp.com. I think we should actually read the website and watch the video.
I think that would be a good first step. And then maybe click the claim your ticket link and claim your actual ticket.
And you don't have to upgrade to the VIP.
But you should. You should.
It'd be worth it.
Because who am I going to hang out with? It's the VIP. I actually didn't say this on the podcast, but I was thinking this. What I do in my own business first of all, when certain people like those guys, when they emailed in, I just took them out of the email list. I'm like, okay, you're banned now for life. You no longer get access to any of this stuff. But mentally, what I've trained myself to do when I run into those type of people, I do use a derogatory term mentally, because I don't want to fall into that habit of, well, let me just lower my prices so I can get a new client. Right. So I always refer to those type of clients as riffraff. I go, you got to get rid of the riffraff.
Yes.
I only want to work with the guy who wants to shop at Nordstrom, not the person who's looking for Walmart. I'm not Walmart. I don't want to be Walmart. There's literally too much competition in Walmart. In fact, if you look at literally look at Walmart, the number of losing quarters in a row that company continues to have, it's astronomical, because it's a race to the bottom.
Right. Yes.
You want to be cheap? There's someone else who will do it cheaper.
Yes.
But when you're Nordstrom, literally they don't have a sale except for their half yearly sale. And the only reason why I know about that is because my wife thinks it's a national holiday, and I'm like, great. So we're going to buy a bunch of crap. We still don't.
When you get your new underwear, Pete.
Yeah. She goes to Walmart for those, but
leave that there.
But Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. But mentally, you got to have that, okay, look, I'm not looking for the riffraff client. I'm not looking for the person just looking for the cheap car wash. That's not my client.
But it's such a mindset shift because it makes so much sense when you actually sit down and take 5 seconds and think about it. But in the beginning, everyone is trying to do that. There was a guy that was working with me. He learned how to detail for 2 months, and he's going out and doing $80 full details. And I called him and I'm like, dude, stop. Because you're not making any money. You're never going to make any money. And you're going to start running in these freaking circles where they expect an $80 full detail.
What's a full detail cost?
I would say depending on,
location, all that stuff. Yeah, who you are. Yeah.
I would think you're probably right around the $200 to $300 range.
Oh yeah. See, yeah, then that's way too cheap.
So at $80 and he's spending 5, 6, 7 hours on it. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's 20, he's coming from a minimum wage job. Like if he can make $80 in a day, he's stoked. Right. So, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, and you actually hit on a great point there with, when you're starting out, like you've got a different mindset,
right?
Or depending on where you come from. So I had 2 consultations over the last couple of weeks with a couple other consultants who are coming to me and they're like, hey, look, I need to know how to take my business to the next level. And so we're going over pricing. And I'm like, okay, what do you price out at? And they're like, okay, well, I charge $50 an hour. And that's because I figure I'm going to net 33 after, expenses, taxes, insurance, all the other, $17. And I'm like, all right, first of all, you're billing out at an hourly rate because that's where you came from. Right. I don't bill out at hourly. Like,
exactly.
I have a monthly retainer that you must pay and then a percentage of revenue that you're going to pay me. And I don't care if it only takes me an hour of work a month or it might take me 100 hours 1 month. I'm not charging by the hour.
Right.
I don't want to fall into that mix. That's the employee mindset. And unfortunately, because so many people are in the detailing industry as a first business venture, they're from that mindset. Right. And so, someone wants to give them $80 and it's going to take them, 8 hours, $10 an hour. They're as happy as a lark. You got to get out of that mindset or you're not going to have any real success. But anyway, I want to go back to what I was going to say earlier about the real estate people. When I was recording this training today, I was like, okay, when it comes to your website, guys, feel free to talk about some of your hobbies, the things that are important to you, the politics. If you're conservative, talk about that. If you're liberal, talk about that. Because great marketing repels as much as it attracts. So great marketing doesn't attract everyone in. You got to repel the wrong clients and only bring in the right clients. And that means there's going to be some people who identify with you and some people who don't. You want the premium buyers, basically. You want the people who are going to spend premium money on you week after week, month after month. Like you and I were talking, you've got a client who pays you like $800 a month to do some of their vehicles. And it's like, that's a premium client.
It's not all they pay me for, Pete.
I'm going to leave that one alone. And I'm not even going to talk about anything else that we've talked about.
Pete technically doesn't even exist because there's no record.
Well, I've heard of a detailer out there somewhere.
You should probably edit that whole little.
Anyway. Except we know that you don't edit, so we're pretty much sure that
you send me your recording. I don't even use my own recording.
I'm not even going to send this to the IRS. I'm such a nice guy. No.
Whoops.
But my point is, you just you have to be willing to say no to some people.
Did I mention I was based out of Canada?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But the other thing too is at the beginning, you just have to be willing to draw a line in the sand and go, this is what I'm going to work for, and I'm not going to work for anything less.
Right.
And I'm not going to just take anybody on as a client. And after you go to the detailermarketingbootcamp.com, you'll learn how to have a never-ending supply of the right kind of clients. But if you don't have that mindset going into it of, I'm going to have standards, I'm going to have certain, thresholds that people have to be willing to pay, in order to get my attention, then nothing's going to work.
And might I add that the guys that are followed and kind of drooled after the most on all these Facebook groups and in the detailing community are those, if you analyze those guys and their business and stuff, the quote unquote top guys have a really niched down clientele. So really the guys that are most sought after, the guys that are most looked up to, the guys that other people esteem as knowing everything when it comes to the detailing industry, the reason why people think that is because of the sect of people that they've chosen to target for their detailing business.
Right. Yep.
So the more niche down, the more niche down those detailers have gotten, not only the more profitable have they gotten, but the more notoriety they've gotten for the type of work that they do.
Right. Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
No, that's actually a really good point, because the sweet spot in my consulting business has been coaches and speakers, authors, but really the coaching consultant type company. And I actually I get referrals like crazy because they all know each other.
Right.
And they're like, oh, you got to talk to Pete because he really knows how to wire this stuff in. Like, I'll give you an example. I've got a client right now who they've been with me for about a year and literally haven't done anything for a year until last month. So they've been paying me my monthly retainer and haven't done anything, which to me is a great example that my monthly retainer was not high enough because like the monthly retainer is meant to do a couple of things. One, it needs to cause pain to the business owner when they write that check or I charge that credit card, to where they're like, okay, crap, I'm paying Pete that much money, and what am I getting in return? So it like forces you to do something, right? But it didn't with this gal, because apparently she makes too much money. In fact, I literally know she moved out of the state of California because she paid $140,000 last year in state taxes. Like, I don't know how much money that means she made, because that was just the California taxes, which is crazy. And so anyway, last month she starts actually implementing what I've done. Literally, very first month, boom, 10 grand extra. This month we're already at 10 grand, and what are we at? We're at like the 12th of the month. Yeah, we're on the 12th of May. So I mean, it's just like this stuff works when you put it into action. But then she started to refer me out because she's like, "Wow, this stuff actually works." I'm like, yeah, what do you think you've been paying me for the last year? By the way, thanks for all your money. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't mind collecting checks and not working.
Actually, she's one of my favorite clients because of it.
But that makes it even better. And that's like my kind of all-star client, I call them, that they pay really well and really no hassle, no problems. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. You get into, it's like the next level. So you're getting paid what you want to get paid. They're seeing results. You're seeing results, and they're nice people.
Yeah.
Well, it's the sweet spot.
It's true. The more people pay, the more they pay attention, and the more that they will do. But they're also the easiest people to work with. The guy who just is literally grinding you on the wash price.
Right.
He's never going to upgrade to the full detail. You're never going to get $200 to $300 out of them. So why are you wasting your time trying to build a relationship with someone who's going to grind you on the cheap stuff? It's not going to work.
Yep.
And that's why to me, I'm like, hey, look, dude, if you can't afford the $49 or you're trying to grind me on that, you're not going to be able to afford anything else I got to offer.
And I do have to say that you probably got those two emails because everyone else is like, man, how I can't travel in, but how can I still get it? So the majority of the people are seeing the enormous value in it.
I think you have to tell people about the guy from Australia, because I just thought it was hilarious.
Well, I get a Facebook message this morning, actually, and it said, hey, I bought the Detailer Marketing Bootcamp, but I'm in Australia, ? To which, I mean, there was a slew of responses that I could have had. But in all reality...
He did. I see this thing come through on the computer. I'm like, dude, someone's flying in from Australia? Now I'm, totally impressed. I'm like, wow.
Which not too long after I responded to him, I got your email. So I luckily had answer for you. But the way he phrased it, the message to me, and if you're listening, I love you, and I can't wait for you to see the recording. But anyway.
Which we're not offering.
But I was like, He said was he bought it and he's in Australia. I'm like, sweet. Like, wow. Like
right.
Your response, he's coming from Australia. That's amazing. You know, because we have guys traveling in from way further away than I thought would ever fly in for.
Right, right. That's why when you get the guy from Encino who's like, that's too far. It's like, dude, I got no respect for you.
So I responded like, great. Are you flying to California? Or was this like a midnight decision after too many cocktails?
Yeah, exactly. Was this a drunk dial? You drunk bought a ticket.
Was this a drunk purchase? To which he was really cool about it, and he was like, yeah, if you could refund it, that'd be great. But I'm just kind of like...
I would have given him all kinds of mad props if he had actually made it out.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Because someone comes out from Australia, dude, I don't know what I would have done. I would have like probably taken like an issue of every training program I've got and just given it to him because I would have been so impressed that someone flew out here from Australia for it. But
well, he still has plenty of time to change his mind.
Well, I've already refunded him the ticket and I've added him to the naughty list. So no, that's it.
Sign up with the new Gmail. All right, where are we at? What else do you want to add to that?
No, that's just the main thing, guys. That if I could leave you with anything, you got to get rid of the riffraff in your business and just focus on the premium dollars. You're going to have a much better business.
And I know your next thought, and this is what's so frustrating for me that I'm so excited about the detailermarketingbootcamp.com, is because a ton of podcasts will tell you, hey, you got to get rid of the riffraff. You got to focus on these high-end clients. Even a lot of these guys on the Facebook groups will be like, hey, you got to focus on the high-end people. And my biggest gripe is, sounds great. How the F do I do it?
Right.
Like, how? I need practical application methods. I'm not that smart. Turns out I'm a lot smarter than a lot of people, Pete. But, like, how do I get high-end clients? How do I get rid of these cheap clients? How do I gain the confidence to say no when people are grinding me down? Like, how do I do it? And now I'm getting on my soapbox and getting all fired up and I'm going to break a sweat. But we are actually going to teach you how to do this stuff.
Yep.
At the detailermarketingbootcamp.com. So if I would say that people, if you think you can't afford to spend the $49, realistically, guys, you can't afford not to spend the $49. Realistically. And look, if you come or not, I want you to be there because I feel like it'll accelerate your business 100-fold. But if you choose not to over a $49 stumbling block, you're crazy.
Yeah, but see, here's the other thing too is, and this just could be where people are at in their business. You have to see it as what it really is. It's an investment in your business. Like when you bought the new pressure washer, you saw it as an investment. You didn't see it as an expense other than, you did have to, get some money out of your pocket to get it, but you did it because you knew you were going to make more money by having it.
Right.
And that's exactly the mindset that you've got to have. Like where my business changed for myself was when I just made the mental commitment. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be different than the next guy. And I know that there are people who can get me there quicker than if I try and go about this by myself. And this was back in 2000. And this guy that I'd met was putting on an event, and it was like, I don't know, it was probably like $100 to go to it. But you could do a VIP ticket for, true story, you could do a VIP ticket for $297. And I was like, all right, the people who I want to hang out with and I want to meet are the VIPs. So I'm going to spend the VIP money. And I got there early because I was literally in the front row. Like I could get spray from the speakers, right? Like
I'm a little worried as to how early people are going to show up to this event, to be honest.
I don't think they need to show up that early because I'm going to roll in right about, half hour before.
8:59 I'll be there, baby.
Yeah. But, But that's what started to change my business. And I literally still talk to some of the people who I met that were sitting in the VIP section. Wow. And when I go to events now, like I almost like, you probably wouldn't get me to go to an event that was free where I was only paying $49. Because at where I'm at in my business today, I want to be around the heavy hitters. Like most of the events I go to are going to be a minimum of $1,000. I'm actually joining a group right now that costs $25,000 to get in, like just to get in, and they meet 3 times a year, because that's who I want to hang around with. Like those are the guys who are going to make me sharper. Since no one else does anything in the detailer business, along these lines, we're like, look, we'll start it here, and then, if we like it, if it continues to work well, maybe we will go up to, some of these bigger, higher ticket stuff. But that's why we're starting where we're at.
I love it.
Yeah. See it as what it is, guys. See it as an investment.
That's it. And I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm begging for you to go, but honestly, my passion is to see other guys' businesses thrive. People are like, well, what's the hidden motive? I'm like, well, ask me what the hidden motive behind starting a freaking podcast is with over 230 episodes. Like, I just like helping guys out. Okay.
Yeah.
Take a pill.
Yeah. I'm sure some people are going to come up to me afterward and say, Pete, I want your help. Great. I'll give it to you. And then I will charge them more.
Do I get half that?
I'll give you a high five.
You're the best. Thanks, Pete.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on again this week, and hopefully we can do it again next week. But we'll play it by ear. We'll see if you let me come back.
Maybe if you keep paying me, I will.
Nice. I'm not paying him anything, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com for full show notes and links of everything that we've talked about today. And don't forget to check out our resources page for a direct link to all the products talked about not only on today's episode, but that I use in my day-to-day detail business. They have direct links so you can purchase and get free shipping right from that page. That's autodetailingpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.